this. There comes a time in every life when the weight of the past becomes too heavy to carry. We smile, we move forward, but deep inside this, we're still haunted by the memories of what we could have done differently, by words we wish we hadn't spoken this, or moments we wish we could relive. We often think forgiveness is something we give to others, but the truth is this: the deepest forgiveness begins within. You cannot heal if you are at war with yourself. This. You cannot find peace if you keep reopening wounds that are ready to close. This. Forgiving yourself is not about forgetting what happened. It's about understanding that you did the best you could with the awareness you had at that time. This. Every mistake was a teacher. Every regret was a lesson, and every pain was shaping you into who you were meant to become. This journey is not about erasing the past, it's about releasing its grip on your heart. If you've been searching for peace, stay until the end. What follows is not just a message, it's an awakening. Because once you learn to forgive yourself, you'll discover the greatest truth of all the past cannot define you unless you choose to live there. Forgiveness begins within. It is not a gift you give to others, but a sacred act of compassion you offer to yourself. Too often we are taught that forgiveness means letting someone else off the hook, that it is about excusing the actions of others or pretending the pain they caused didn't matter. But the deeper truth is that forgiveness starts in the quiet space of your own heart, where you finally stop punishing yourself for not being perfect. You forgive yourself for what you didn't know back then, for the choices you made in confusion, for the words you wish you hadn't spoken, and for the moments you wish you could change. You realize that self-forgiveness is not a weakness or an escape, it is an awakening. It is a moment when you finally recognize that you have carried guilt and shame long enough, and they no longer deserve to control your peace. Every day, countless thoughts pass through your mind. Memories of regret, practice, echoes of failure, and self-criticism that whispers, "You should have done better." These thoughts shape your energy, your confidence, your relationships, and even your faith in yourself. Yet none of them reflect the full truth. The truth is this: you are not the same person who made those choices. Time has changed you. Experience has matured you. Pain has refined you. And the very fact that you feel regret means that you have grown beyond your past self. So why keep fighting a version of yourself that no longer exists? The art of forgiveness begins when you make peace with your own evolution, when you accept that who you were yesterday was doing the best they could with the awareness they had. Forgiveness within is an act of deep courage. It means standing face to face with your own imperfections and saying I accept you. I love you anyway. It means choosing understanding over judgment, growth over guilt, and healing over punishment. Many people carry wounds for years because they mistake self-forgiveness for selfishness. They think letting go means they're ignoring accountability, but that's not true. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is remembering without allowing the memory to control you. It's saying, yes, I made a mistake, but I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of peace. When you start forgiving yourself, you begin to change your vibration. You stop attracting people and experiences that reflect your pain, and you start drawing in those that align with your peace. The moment you release inner guilt, you open space for clarity, creativity, and compassion. You see your story differently, not as a list of failures, but as a journey of becoming. You begin to realize that every regret carried a lesson, every wound shaped your wisdom, and every tear purified your heart. This forgiving yourself is not a single act, it is a continuous practice. Each day, you must remind yourself that you are a work in progress, that healing is not linear, and that being human means sometimes breaking before you bloom. When you look inward with gentleness instead of judgment, your inner world begins to heal. You stop running from yourself and start walking toward peace. And in that moment, you discover something powerful. True forgiveness was never about changing the past. It was always about changing your relationship with yourself here and now. Releasing the past is one of the most profound acts of liberation a person can experience. So many people live in silent captivity, trapped not by chains of iron, but by memories they refuse to let go of. They replay moments of hurt, betrayal, loss, or regret over and over again, hoping that somehow revisiting the past will rewrite it. But no amount of overthinking can change what has already happened. The only power you truly have lies in how you choose to relate to your past right now. The mind clings to the familiar, even if that familiarity is pain, because letting go feels like losing a part of yourself. Yet the truth is the opposite. When you release the past, you are not losing yourself, you are finally returning to yourself. The past carries lessons, but it is not meant to become a prison. Every experience you've been through, every heartbreak, disappointment or mistake was a teacher trying to awaken something within you. The purpose of pain is not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser, more compassionate, and more aware of who you are. When you hold on to the past, you keep reopening old wounds that are ready to heal. You might think clinging to what happened gives you control, but in reality, it drains your strength and blinds you from the possibilities that exist now. The longer you hold on to resentment, the heavier it becomes. It seeps into your relationships, your confidence, and your ability to trust life again. To release the past is to reclaim your energy, to stop feeding what no longer serves your growth. Letting go does not mean pretending that pain didn't happen. It means accepting that it did, but choosing not to let it define who you are. Many people believe that by letting go, they are somehow excusing what others did or denying their own suffering. But forgiveness and release are not about the other person, they are about your freedom. You can acknowledge the pain, honor your emotions, and still decide that you will no longer let that memory hold power over your peace. The past cannot be undone, but it can be transformed. When you change your perception of what happened from punishment to purpose, you begin to see that even your darkest moments carried a hidden light. Think of life as a flowing river. When you hold on to rocks of regret and anger, you resist the current of life itself. The flow continues, but you stay stuck, unable to move forward. The moment you let go, you are carried by the current again, toward healing, toward new experiences, toward growth. Releasing the past is an act of faith. It is trusting that life still has beauty for you, even after pain. It is believing that your heart can still open again, your dreams can still bloom again, and your spirit can still rise from what once broke you. So when the past calls, don't answer. It has nothing new to say. Thank it for the lessons, bless it for the growth it gave you, and then release it. Every time you choose to let go, you reclaim a piece of your power. You create space for peace, joy, and renewal. Because freedom does not come from changing the story. It comes from accepting it and walking forward with grace. This self-awareness is the foundation of true healing. It is the quiet moment when you stop running from yourself and finally turn inward to see what you've been carrying all along. Most people spend their lives reacting to pain, to memories, to fear, to the opinions of others, without realizing that every reaction comes from something deeper within them. To heal this, you must first become aware of what lives inside you. You must be willing to face your emotional wounds, your unhealed parts, and the silent stories you keep telling yourself about who you are and what you deserve. Self-awareness is not about judgment. It's about observation. It's about looking at yourself with honesty, but also with compassion. Seeing both your strength and your struggle without turning away. When you develop awareness, you begin to understand that your pain has a voice. It speaks through your habits, your triggers, your fears, and even your silence. Every time you feel anger, sadness, or anxiety, there is something deeper beneath that emotion. A memory, an unmet need, a past experience that shaped how you respond today. Awareness allows you to trace those emotions back to their roots, not to dwell on them, but to finally understand them. Because once you understand something, it begins to lose its control over you. What you refuse to see will continue to rule your life from the shadows, but what you bring into the light can finally be healed. Self-awareness requires courage. It means being honest about your patterns, your mistakes, and the ways you might be contributing to your own suffering. It's much easier to blame others or circumstances than to admit that some of your pain comes from your own resistance to change. But awareness is not about guilt, it's about empowerment. When you see clearly, you realize that you have choices. You can choose new thoughts, new reactions, new perspectives. You can choose to respond from love instead of fear, from understanding instead of anger. The more aware you become, the more power you have to shape your inner world and, in turn, your outer reality. Healing begins the moment you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift in awareness transforms pain into purpose. It turns suffering into wisdom. Every challenge you face becomes an invitation to grow in consciousness, to know yourself more deeply, and to evolve beyond your old limitations. Self-awareness is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. Without it, forgiveness remains incomplete because you cannot truly forgive what you do not understand. When you begin to live with awareness, you stop being a victim of your past. You start becoming a conscious creator of your present. You see that your peace is not determined by what happens around you, but by how you interpret it within. You learn to pause before reacting, to listen before judging, and to reflect before deciding. And with each moment of awareness, your heart grows quieter, your mind grows clearer, and your soul begins to heal. Because self-awareness is not just about knowing yourself. It is about remembering who you truly are beneath all the layers of pain, fear, and regret. It is about returning home to the part of you that has always been whole, peaceful, and free. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness, but in truth, it is one of the highest forms of inner strength. It takes far more courage to let go of resentment than to hold on to it. Anyone can be angry, anyone can carry bitterness or seek revenge, but it takes a strong, awakened soul to say, I choose peace instead. Forgiveness is not surrender, it is mastery. It is mastery over your emotions, over your ego, and over the story your mind keeps repeating about how things should have been. When you forgive, You are not saying that what happened was right or fair. You are simply declaring that you will no longer allow pain from the past to poison your present. That decision alone is an act of power. True forgiveness is not about the other person, it is about your own liberation. When you refuse to forgive, you keep yourself tied to the very energy that hurt you. You relieve the same emotion over and over again, each time deepening the wound. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. But the moment you choose to forgive, the chains begin to break. The energy that was once consumed by anger and grief is transformed into peace and clarity. You start to see the situation differently. You begin to realize that forgiveness does not erase the lesson. It simply removes the pain attached to it. It's not forgetting what happened. It's learning how to live freely despite what happened. Forgiveness is a process of maturity. It requires you to rise above the smallness of pride and step into the vastness of understanding. You start to see that everyone, including yourself, acts from their level of awareness. Some people hurt others because they are deeply wounded themselves. Some make mistakes not out of malice, but out of ignorance. When you understand this, your heart softens, not because you justify their behavior, but because you recognize the shared humanity in it. Forgiveness becomes an act of wisdom, not weakness. It shows that you have grown beyond your pain, that you have learned to let compassion be stronger than anger. There is also another layer of forgiveness that many overlook, the ability to forgive life itself. Sometimes we hold resentment toward the universe, destiny, or God for what we lost or never received. We question why certain things happened to us, why certain dreams were broken, why certain people left. But holding on to that resistance only deepens our suffering. To forgive life is to trust its timing, to believe that even the painful moments carry hidden blessings. It's to understand that life doesn't happen against you. It happens for you, shaping you into who you were meant to become. When you reach the level of forgiveness that comes from understanding, you experience peace that words cannot describe. The heart becomes lighter, the mind becomes still, and the soul feels free again. Forgiveness is not about changing the past. It's about reclaiming your power in the present. It's about saying I refuse to let this pain define me any longer. That is true mastery. That is the art of a peaceful mind. And in that space, you discover that forgiveness was never about others. It was always about freeing yourself to live fully, openly, and without fear.